ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम अज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्तस्वामिनिति नामिने। नमस्ते सारस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेषशून्यवादी पाश्चात्यदेशतारिणे। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासादि गौरभक्तवृंदा। हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। Okay, Madhurya Kadambini, first chapter. Um, so we are discussing how bhakti is independent, and bhakti is the cause of results for karma and gnana. And it's so powerful. Unlike people think that gnana is the cause for bhakti. No, bhakti is the cause for perfection of jnana. So bhakti is super powerful. So that's what we discussed, and that bhakti can be got only from another devotee. So two important things for us. One is to surrender to a guru and senior Vaishnavas and serve them nicely so that we can get bhakti from them. And that we go distribute books, distribute mercy, which is very, very important for the Kali Yuga soul to actually come to bhakti. Okay, so this much we have discussed. So, as a summary, Shri Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur is saying bhakti is independent because of its supreme power and gives life to other processes. Okay, bhakti does not depend on purity or faith. The dependence of karma and yoga on conditions of purity in place, time, candidate, materials, and performance is well known from the Smriti scriptures. This is not true of bhakti. So, in chanting the name of the Lord, there are no restrictions concerning place, time, purity, and so on, Vishnu Dharma. So there is no need for a person to be pure to come to the process of bhakti. Hmm? For karma and yoga, jnana, there are so many conditions. For example, jnana is a path only for men mostly, right? Because sannyasis, they become sannyasis, which means that there is a certain qualification, a certain criteria, etc., etc., right? But for so someone needs to be pre-qualified um, to come to that, to enter these paths, right? But for bhakti there are no restrictions of time, place, etc., purity, etc., Vishnu Dharma. So this is very important, which is why we tell people, many people say we are non-vegetarians, we are this, we are that, or there is no restriction for bhakti. Nor is bhakti even dependent upon faith. Or best of Bhrigu dynasty, heard once with faith or in negligence, it can deliver any human being. Prabhasa Khanda, Padma Purana. So the holy name, heard once with faith or in negligence, it can deliver. This is Nama Bhasa. It should not be offensive, that's all. Even if it is in Nama Bhasa, the name can deliver any human being. So it's so powerful. So it doesn't even depend on faith. Bhakti is not dependent on purity, for whether the name is chanted purely or impurely, it will deliver the fallen soul. The same cannot be said of Karma Yoga, where impurity is a great obstacle to progress. So here it says mantra devoid of proper intonation, pronunciation with improper use does not fulfill its purpose. Thus, by saying enemy of, so basically saying that technically everything has to be, pronunciation has to be proper, etc. Otherwise, it will result in something else totally. Mm. Um, Necessity of internal purity for practice of Gnana Yoga is well known. Gnana Yoga is moreover dependent on Karma Yoga. For one may enter Gnana Yoga only with a heart purified of gross desires. And such purity of heart stems from the performance of karma without gross desires, Nishkama Karma Yoga. So we can understand that if one wants to come to Gnana Yoga, he should have done Nishkama Karma Yoga, because by Nishkama Karma Yoga, heart becomes purified of gross desires. Because of this dependency, if the practitioner of Gnana Yoga commits even a small unworthy act by accident, He's condemned as a Vantasi, an eater of vomit. So this is very, very elevated position, this Gnana Yogi's position, because he is expected to have already gone through the stages of Nishkama Karma Yoga, which means that gross desires he should have already overcome. If he has not overcome, he's a cheater, right? So he's condemned as a Vantasi, an eater of vomit, right? Besides, Kamsa, Hiranyakashipu, and Ravana were famous practitioners of Gnana, and they were certainly not at all worthy of praise. So Chakravarti Thakur directly like, Gnana is useless. As in, first of all, it requires so much of college. Second, there are also so-called demons who are famous practitioners of Gnana, he's saying. On the other hand, one on the path of bhakti, though afflicted by lust, has the qualification to begin the practice. And just by practice of bhakti, bhaktim pratilabhya, after performing bhakti, lust and other impurities are destroyed. So bhakti doesn't have any prerequisite. Anybody and everybody, irrespective of how fallen they are, can practice bhakti. But the important thing is, by the practice of bhakti, lust and other impurities should get destroyed. If it is not getting destroyed, that means we are not doing we are doing something wrong. Anyone who faithfully and continually hears or describes the Lord's playful affairs with the young gopis of Vrindavan will attain the highest type of prema to the Lord, quickly destroy lust, the disease of the heart, and immediately become steady. So this is about kama, how lust and other impurities will get destroyed. Even somebody who faithfully and continually, of course, hearing has to happen from pure devotees. If one faithfully and continually hears or describes the Lord's playful affairs with the young gopis of Vrindavan, because many times when we hear about the Krishna's pastimes with the gopis of Vrindavan, yeah, they're very playful, like materially we cannot digest this. But it is said that one who faithfully, but it has to be heard with faith, knowing that Krishna is the supreme enjoyer, supreme Lord, and position of gopis, understanding clearly the tattva, and that Krishna cannot do anything wrong. Krishna cannot be immoral. So even though even though we might not understand the great details of this whole relationship of the gopis with Krishna, just faith that Krishna is the supreme brahmachari, is the supreme moral person, is the supreme Lord, um, and continuously hears, he will attain the highest type of prema, which is Madhurya, simply by hearing faithfully, but continually hearing. And this hearing will quickly destroy lust. Will quickly destroy lust. Even though impurities such as kama may sometimes appear in the devotee, the scriptures never condemn the devotee. Api chet sudaracharo bhajate mam ananya bhak. Even if the most sinful person worships me with no other desire than to please me, I consider that person to be my devotee, since he has fixed himself completely in me. See, this is very important. This is not intentional sinning. It's not intentionally indulging in kama. It is these impurities will be there in a devotee. Sometimes they just pop up. And when they pop up, devotee might not be able to control himself or herself and might result in engaging in some sinful activity. Right? But still he is considered devotee. Why bhajate mam ananya bhak? He is continuously in service of Krishna. See, we can understand. This is actually very eye-opening, right? Ananyas chintayantoma, right? So who is continuously always serving the Lord, even for such a person, uh, initially there will be these anarthas will show up. Now, what about those who are not continuously engaged in devotional service, who are engaged in material work, whether required, not required? How will their anarthas go? So we should understand that it's very important to be seriously engaged in bhakti for us to be able to get over all these anarthas. If my devotee has not fully conquered his senses, he may be harassed by material desires, but because of his generally strong bhakti, he will not be defeated by sense gratification. Of course, this is a slightly more advanced stage, right? First, initially say, there'll be material desires, and he might even fall down temporarily. But because he is doing strictly, seriously bhakti, soon he will come to this stage. where he will not be affected even though those material desires come to him. He will not be harassed. But both of them are, uh, Krishna is emphatically saying he is a sadhu. Sadhu reva samantavyaha. So he's a sadhu. Why? Because he's continuously engaged in Krishna's service. Ajamila's position as a devotee was accepted by the Vishnu Dutas. Even though people such as Aramila utter the name of the Lord inadvertently, not intentionally. Ajamila's case, out of affection for his son, they're universally praised as devotees, even though their chanting must be considered nama bhasa. So Ajamila's chanting was not pure. So there are three stages of chanting: nama aparad, nama bhas, and shuddha nam. So even in shuddha nam, one can get delivered. Ayo, even in nama bhas, one can get delivered. In shuddha nam, one will achieve Krishna loka. But the most important thing is to actually cross over nama aparad. So we know 10 nama parads, right? And the most important one is not to remain attached to material things of I and mine, even after hearing so many things about the topic. That is our killer for most people, especially Grastas. Because if you are still attached to I and mine, then we are in nama parada stage, then there is no chance, hope of liberation yet. Forget about love of Krishna. But if somebody comes even to Nama Bhasa, which is they are not chanting with any offense, but they are not chanting with any love, even inadvertently, like Ajamila. He had no intention. Or like, haram. Muslims say haram. Right? That's Nama Bhasa. They can get liberated. So merciful the Lord is. He's such sinful people, simply by even unintentionally taking the name of the Lord gives them liberation. Yeah, I'll just finish this paragraph, and if there are any questions, we can discuss. One's internal purity and the purity of place and materials are indispensable, meaning not avoidable or mandatory for accomplishment in karma, gnana, and yoga. Deficiency in these areas obstructs progress on these paths. Bhakti, however, is the very giver of life to these paths. Therefore, all these paths are dependent. Things which are truly independent are never dependent for their success or failure on anything else. So, bhakti is fully independent. There is no need for any internal purity, purity of place, materials, etc. Nothing. Mm. So we don't have to worry that my mind is, I'm doing this, doing that, etc., etc. Whatever it is, just have faith that bhakti will take us over, help us cross over. Okay. Any questions so far? Whatever I discussed. No questions. Okay. Only an ignorant person will say that bhakti is but a means of attaining gnana. For actually, bhakti takes a position higher than even the goal of gnana, which is moksha. So we should understand this. Bhakti is far higher. If somebody wants verses, etc., here it is quoted 5, 6, 18. O King Parikshit, Krishna was a protector, instructor, object of worship, giver of affection, and protector of both the Yadus and Pandavas. But he was sometimes your servant. The Lord gives liberation, but not even bhava bhakti to those who worship him. Bhaktim dadati karishit sma na bhakti yoga. Muktim dadati karishit sma na bhakti yogam. Lord can give mukti but not bhakti, because bhakti is superior to mukti. O great sage, greater than those who are Jivan Mukta and greater than those who attain liberation is the devotee of Lord Narayana. Such a devotee who is in Shanta or other rasas is very rare, even among 10 million people. Even Shanta is rare. Forget about Dasya. Even Shanta rasa devotee is rare. When the Lord as Upendra became subservient to Indra to give him support, he did so as his mercy. He is actually not inferior to Indra. In this manner, bhakti, being merciful, becomes a limb of gnana just to give support to gnana. This is the understanding of the intelligent person. remembering and inspiring other devotees to remember the Lord who destroys all sin. The devotees will develop hair standing on end in ecstasy by prema bhakti produced from sadhana bhakti. This we would have experienced, isn't it? This hair standing on end. Uh, Many situations, different situations, different devotees have experienced this differently. It may not happen too frequently, but sometime at least we would have experienced hair standing on end. And when does it happen? Just remembering and inspiring other devotees to remember the Lord. If we are remembering, sometimes by just our remembering of the Lord, we will have hair standing on end. Or sometimes when we are inspiring other devotees to remember the Lord, just by that effort, sincere effort of trying to inspire others to remember the Lord, Lord gives mercy by which we will have hair standing on end, which is ecstasy. Which is ecstasy. See, this is why this book is important. We so many things we'll understand, right? Of course, we might have this also at the same time we might have lust also. So we should understand. Yeah, so we have to make progress. But we are experiencing some aspects of an advanced stage of devotion. At the same time, we are conditioned because of our previous lives. So it'll then we can understand. See, if 1 second of that, hair standing on end gave me so much happiness. What will happen if I'm continuously in that stage, in that state? And then that should give us motivation to, okay, yes, that's amazing, you know, because that will happen only by pure devotion to Krishna. But then we'll say, okay, let me try work harder to remove all my anarthas, nonsense, which is preventing me from experiencing that bliss at all times. How many of us don't want to experience that bliss at all times? Anybody here who don't want to experience bliss? Mm. So we should understand the only way is to actually practice sadhana bhakti in a way that all our nonsense will get destroyed, right? But practice of sadhana bhakti has to be done properly. That is the key. The result of bhakti is another form of bhakti called prema. Thus, bhakti is the topmost goal for mankind. The preeminent, all pervading, totally independent, self manifesting, and life giving nature of the great energy, bhakti, is of the same nature of the Supreme Lord. See, preeminent, all pervading, totally independent, self manifesting, life giving nature. It actually gives life. We are dead right now. With bhakti, we get life. Hmm. It is of the same nature of the Supreme Lord from whom bhakti emanates. This has been explained here. If one still prefers a process other than bhakti, that person should be considered bereft of the power of good judgment. What else can be said? If one is a human being but does not take to the process of bhakti, then he should not be considered a human being at all. Kovaina seveta vina nare taram. Who except an animal would not serve the Lord? Hmm. So this is the first cloud, first shower. Okay, so now we are entering into the more practical. I mean, this was more of a context setting to show how bhakti is super powerful. Why is Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti talking about this? Because we should know that we can actually reach these stages that are going to be now described in this book. So especially as we make progress, move towards asakti, ruchi, asakti, bhava, prema, seem like out of this world, right? Seem way beyond our reach, right? And when it comes to that, we should remember this initial chapter saying that bhakti is independent, bhakti is all powerful, right? Bhakti doesn't depend on our material disqualification, which we all have. We are all majorly disqualified. But bhakti doesn't depend on this disqualification. Bhakti sincerely depends on simply depends on sincere endeavor. That's all, right? And serving the devotee of the Lord, because that bhakti, prema bhakti, is present in the heart of the devotee. Simple, right? So this much, if you have understood from last 3 sessions, that's good enough, right? So I'll stop here. If anybody has anything to say,
Hare Krishna Prabhu.
yeah.
Prabhu, the purity which we need for, you told that anybody and anyone can like come into bhakti. So this is for the initial stage of bhakti, and once we are in get into it, so progressing in bhakti, we need some level of purity.
Mm-hmm.
Like, am I right or wrong?
No, no, no. We don't. The purity. See, when we say that we need purity, that means it becomes like a prerequisite. It means that if I don't have purity, then I can't make progress. No, but actually the process is the other way around. We see. We should understand it. It's very simple. We are impure before coming to Krishna consciousness, and that level of impurity only keeps reducing. Right. So which means that at any point of stage in our bhakti, we are impure. And what is this impurity? This is anarthas, right? So we cannot say that I require. So suppose I am at 50% impurity. I cannot say that now to make progress, I need 40% impurity. Otherwise, I won't make progress. No, actually, what is the process? I'm at 50% impurity. But if I simply follow the process which has been given, automatically that 50% impurity will come down to 40% impurity. Is it clear?
Yes, Prabhu. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. Anything else? Anybody?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Yes, Madhurya.
Prabhuji, like now, I mean, when you say bhakti, it is something which is inborn, right? It is dormant. For
Yeah.
anybody to come at any stage, whether any place, circumstance, anybody, like any,
Mm-hmm.
from a prostitute to a sadhu, anybody who comes to bhakti, he has to be touched by a devotee or some God sent messenger to become to progress,
Yeah.
or it will not automatically
No, no, it will
come.
not automatically happen. The waking up, see, if I'm sleeping, somebody has to wake me up, no? Either it has to be an alarm, it has to be a human being, it has to be a dog barking, something, right? So, similarly, for bhakti to awaken in our hearts, that awakening can be done only when we come in touch with the devotee,
Prabhu,
right?
sometimes even if you don't come in touch with a devotee, you hear something and you follow that. Even that is considered as coming
Yeah,
into
but where are
some
we,
kind of.
where are we hearing from?
Yeah, yes, from like,
Yeah.
okay, from a mic, or like not visibly, but
No,
from
no, no.
many.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it doesn't mean only physically come in
Okay, yeah,
touch, right?
yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
it is a devotee's vani. A devotee
Vani,
should
yeah,
be in the picture, right? Either his words, one word, some book, some kirtan, some
Kirtan,
prasadam, something, right? But it is which has originated from a pure devotee has that potency to wake us up.
something which triggers him off to the further uh, journey, right?
Yeah, yeah. So we should understand. So there are
It
two
has to.
things, right? One is the preacher devotees, preachers, right? Now, because
uh,
they are sincerely endeavoring to spread the message of, Krishna and Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, they will be empowered, right? So when they're empowered, even though they themselves might not be at an exalted state, right? But their words will carry potency. Okay. Now, this potency is the Kripa Shakti of the Lord, right? So when that is why when devotees, even if we are unqualified, but if we are sincerely endeavoring, our words become potent, right?
Yes.
And when
Yeah.
somebody, and what do the preacher devotees do? They strive, go out, do whatever, somehow get out, right? Get in touch with people, get in contact with people, right? Come in touch with people, and somehow they will strive to bring bhakti in front of people, right? Now that is good enough for the be like initial awakening of bhakti, meaning at least somebody will say, okay, I want to start, which is what this adho shraddha is, right? We will read that, right? So I might not have had faith at all, but when I came in touch with the devotee, because of the devotee, the mercy comes and I start engaging in bhakti. Now if I have to make progress, I always have to be engaged in serving in association with the devotee who is more advanced than me, right? Every time, because that more advanced devotee will be, if he is for practicing purely, will have the potency to pull me up to his level, right? And similarly going on up to a pure devotee, right? A pure devotee, because he has prema in his heart, when we are in touch with a pure devotee and we are serving him, or her, then automatically that prema which is there, which can bhakti comes from bhakti, right? So that will get transferred, Prabhupada says in Bhagavad Gita, it's an infection. It's a good infection to have, he says, right? To be in touch with a pure devotee. But that touch has to be Vani or Vapu, right? But it has to be there.
Like
Without that, we cannot make progress.
as
Yes, Prabhu.
Prabhupada, because for that purpose only Prabhupada used emphasis book distribution actually.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, that is why we, like yesterday I was telling somebody saying that, or I don't know whether in this class only, right? So when Srila Prabhupada was here manifest, 12 months of the year was book distribution. After that, we said marathon and we said 1 month. Now it has become like one day, Vaikuntha Ekadashi, right? Even that Vaikuntha Ekadashi, many devotees are not available. So, this is not mercy distribution. This is totally self-centered life, right? At least, at least 1 day in a year, 1 month in a year, we don't want to come out. We don't want, I'm talking to so many devotees. Everybody's saying, Prabhu, I have this work, I have that work. I said, you're doing the same work all your life for millions of lifetimes. You think it's so impractical to put it aside for a month that you can't stretch yourself a bit to finish off this work at some other time and make yourself available to be available for book distribution? It's just that we are so self-centered, so self-centered. Of course, some devotees have real problems. I'm not denying it, right? Everybody will have situations in life, right? There are certain devotees I know who are so sincere, but their body is not allowing them to do. It's fine, but they're sincere, they'll come out. But if you don't have sincerity in this, no, if we are, see, that is why Shivaram Swami Maharaj in this book, right? Possibly whenever in some time we should read this with the Bhakti Chintamani. He says that, to progress bhakti, it is not the bhakti lata is not just watered by simply Shravanam Kirtanam. It requires us to do prachar. Only when we do prachar will that bija get like soup, lot of nutrition, right? Unprecedented amount of nutrition, and one will make tremendous progress, right? But if you don't do that, if you're sitting at home, then yeah, and that is Vani, that is what Prabhupada said. I hear many devotees saying, oh, no, like whatever, my mentor is not encouraging me to do book distribution. I said, what nonsense. Like, who can override Prabhupada's words on this? Whoever, right? People don't understand anyway. It's our continuous endeavor, work to first show by example, because I cannot speak if I don't do. So this year, all our devotees, a lot of them have come out and done book distribution, and I've said this is going to continue throughout the year. Every month, one team will go out once a month. Once a month, a set of devotees should give time for book distribution once a month. So if there are 3 teams in a particular, say, whatever, preaching center or whatever, so at least 3 weeks in a month, we should be out there in front of people. Someone or the other should be out there. We can't be sitting at home, of course, because we are grahasthas. We understand we have so many challenges. Brahmachari should be literally out there on the road, right? Their sadhana for brahmacharis was, Prabhupada gave it very clear. Morning program, right? Prasadam, get out for book distribution. You can come back in the afternoon if you are not able to stretch whole day, 2-3 hours. Evening, get out, right? So this is all the program was, right? Of course, grahasthas, we have our own challenges and responsibilities, etc., etc. But at least, yeah, 1 day in a year, 1 month in a year, we should do mercy distribution. Otherwise, this is our whole parampara, right? Distribute mercy.
Prabhuji, a little now, like Prabhu, we say listening or to devotee, like bhakti is already in. Now, when you come in contact with somebody, and then you're sincerely preaching also, but it is deviating from what we is that I'm not able to question.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu,
Bro.
she is tagging on actually. My daughter-in-law, they are preaching Bhagavad Gita.
Okay.
But it is not a Bhagavad Gita exactly.
Okay. Mayavad.
So that one, no, not a Mayavadi Bhagavad Gita. It is a Bhagavad Gita. They take, you can say, this
Got
one.
it. Materially, you just take whatever you
No,
want from
not
Bhagavad.
a material thing. They speak only, but they does not. And cream of Bangalore, I can say all ladies that who in Bangalore. They Shalini is the mother is there. Very
Okay.
big lady actually. Her husband is a very big owner of some this IT company or something.
Okay.
And she start her guru also. I kind of just spoken once actually, and she started preaching, and a lot of people joined actually now. You can say whoever the Bangalore top ladies, top my
Wow.
husband, his wife is in that group actually.
Wow. Okay.
And there so many groups are there. So I asked, can you teach us what way is there we can connect so many top people to this Bhagavad Gita? But her guru refused. We won't teach ISKCON people. They know everything. So what is their situation? She wants to know. Like my daughter-in-law, she takes 3-4 classes for children. Big like that way. She started taking classes which she learned. So but my son actually always ridiculous her. First you say Krishna is supreme, then you say Bhagavad Gita we are preaching actually. So what is their situation? Whether they will become devotee in next life or what will be the question actually?
No. So what I'm not able to understand is what are they preaching? Because without knowing that, I can't say anything.
In a Bhagavad Gita, everything, but they kind of like they say. The olden days, Prabhupada used to say that the Sharira is Kshetra, Kurukshetra, our senses are the horses, like that way. So
Okay.
their explanation like that way, the explanation is like that way.
Indeed. Then it's not at all bhakti. Then it's just some mental speculation.
Yeah,
So mental speculation, see, they can be considered as jnanis as long as impersonalists, as long as they are not offending Krishna.
No,
So
they are not offending. They are not offending.
Yeah,
They do
they're not offending.
Ramayana also, Ramnavami, like now in this Gita Jayanti, they will chant whole Gita.
Okay.
Whole Gita Shloka,
Okay.
all 700 Shloka they'll chant with Yagya. Like that way do everything.
Though they're impersonalists. Yeah, they're impersonalists. So they will come slowly. As long as they don't become Mayavadis, they'll come to bhakti. That is the path of Gnana. So from
And what about
Gnana,
my daughter-in-law? She's eating prasad because her house that offering is all the 3-time offering is there. She eats prasad also. So
she's getting mercy. She's getting mercy. She's going to come faster to bhakti than possibly the others who are just on the Gnana path but not eating, not getting any mercy.
Right. She wanted to clarify that one actually.
Okay.
Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Okay, Hare Krishna. Okay, anything else? Anybody? Okay, so next session, we are going to start this Shraddha to Anishtita Bhajana. Okay, so we are going to some new nomenclature we will hear. Of course, Prabhupada just didn't make it too technical, but he's talked about all this. So if he says Anishtita Bhajana, people will get crazy. So he's not used those words. But he's explained all this in his books. Various places Prabhupada has explained this progression from Shraddha to Prema. So this is the same explanation, but in super detail. Right now, like I said, the level of detail here will help us understand where we actually stand today and what is the next stage ahead of us. What are the symptoms of that stage? Now, the process remains the same. Process is sadhana bhakti. Doing strictly following the process will help us move from one stage to the another. But knowing what a stage is will help us recognize our position, and also it will help us understand some pitfalls, some issues that we might be facing, etc. And we will become maybe more conscious to overcome those if we are attracted by the next stage, right? So when we hear about the next stage, suppose we are in Anishtita Bhajana, then we hear about Nishtha Bhajana. Nishtita Bhajana, then we feel, oh wow, this is nice. So can I do this? Then from Nishtha, when we're Nishtha, we hear about Ruchi. And we say, oh, this is very nice. Can I move to Ruchi? So like that, we might get inspired to make progress to the next level. That is the intention with which I decided to pick this book, is to, because while today we are all so focused on our limitations, on our on the anarthas that we have, etc., etc., we are only looking at one side of the story, which is actually the less important part of the story we are looking at, which is me, right? Focused on me and my disqualification. But like we said, our disqualification cannot prevent us from actually making bhakti if you're from achieving prema, if you are sincere and serious. So this book will possibly inspire us to desire the next stage. Actually, that is the only intention, is to desire the next stage, and then become, obviously the prerequisite is to be um, serious and sincere. That's all. Only these two words I'll keep repeating. Sincere, serious. Sincere, serious. Yeah. So we'll stop here. Anybody has anything?
Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Yeah.
I got a copy of the book yesterday, and there are 5-6 books more available in the temple. If
Yeah, yeah.
anybody is interested, they could
Oh, we
take
got
it from.
Bhanuswami Maharaj's version.
Yes, I
Translation?
think it's Arival. This is Bhanu Maharaj's version only. Yes, the same thing. What you're reading,
Oh, okay.
it's the same thing. It's the
Okay, very
same
nice.
thing.
Okay, nice. Okay,
Yes,
for other
yes,
devotees, if
Prabhuji.
anybody wants, we can.
Yes, Bhanu Maharaj Swami's.
Yeah. If anybody wants, let me know. We can send it from the temple. Yeah. So if somebody wants physical copy, otherwise it's available on Amazon Kindle. Okay.
Pranam Prabhuji, is it
Yes,
possible
Madhurya.
to send to Delhi or Sonipat?
Yeah, we'll send. No issues. We'll
Okay.
send. Yeah, just that, possibly I'm a bit held up for the next few days. If anybody from the temple can send, I can. You send me your address anyway.
Yes,
So
yes,
I will,
Prabhuji.
yeah, I will figure out. Yeah. Okay.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, Hare Krishna. Okay, thank you very much. Vanchakalpatarupishcha kripa sindhu bhyo patitana pavane bhyo vaishnavibhyo namo namah ananta koti vaishnav vrinda ki jai jagat guru Shri Prabhupada. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. Dandavat
Hare
Pranam.
Krishna. Dandavad Mataji. Hare Krishna.